Step 4. Is there a causal relationship between the Tourette syndrome diagnosis, the assigned restrictions and limitations, and your inability to do your own or any occupation? The key to getting your disability benefits is that APS form that your physician completes. Now, as I pointed out, I modify the disability insurance carrier's APS form with questions from the Social Security Residual Functional Capacity form for Tourette's. I want to make sure that your physician is asked and answers the right questions about your Tourette syndrome. The disability carrier is going to have their medical unit review your medical records and the APS forms to determine your real restrictions and limitations. Unfortunately, they don't have to accept what your physician has to say. In fact, the disability carrier may have a hired medical gun say, there's no objective basis for these restrictions and limitations assigned by your physician, or they'll only cause minor problems in the workplace. Well, what happens next? The disability carrier is going to send your file to their vocational rehabilitation counselor, a VE. And that VE is going to be asked to determine what your occupation was at the time you became disabled. What were the physical duties of your occupation, and what are the social interaction duties of your occupation? They are going to ask the VE whether you can perform those occupational duties based on whatever restrictions and limitations the carrier thinks apply, not necessarily what your doctor says applies. Just you got to show a causal relationship between the diagnosis and the restrictions and your inability to do your own or any other occupation. The carrier will generally mischaracterize your occupation. Your policy may provide that the carrier can determine your occupation based on something called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. It's a big book that will describe occupational duties. But the policy may say that they can use that and not how you performed your occupational duties for your employer, and that can be a problem. Worse yet, many times I find that the carrier gets your occupation wrong, and they'll misclassify your occupation so that they can deny your benefits. Now, most policies provide that after a certain period of time, the standard of disability changes from an inability to do your own occupation to an inability to perform any occupation. And at that point, the carrier is going to reevaluate your restrictions and limitations, and they're going to determine if there's any other occupation you can perform that pays similar wages in view of your education, skills, and your restrictions. This is not a real-world test. Often the carrier will determine that you can do a sedentary job just to deny your benefits. Be prepared for that game.